All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 7:37 p.m. on Tuesday, November 24th, 2020. We're at the Twinsburg Government Center, as well as virtually via Zoom. I'm going to call the regular council meeting to session. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
I'm here.
Mr. Barr?
Present.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Ms. McFerrin?
Present.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Here.
Mr. Scafidi?
All right. Please join the mayor in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. How about pray first?
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect all of our residents and businesses and our dedicated city employees. Bless those away from us, serving to protect our country. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next up this evening is the approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting on November 10th, 2020. Did everybody have an opportunity to review them?
Make a motion that we accept the meetings as submitted.
Mr. Fury makes a motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. McFerrin seconds. Any discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
All right, the minutes from the regular council meeting on Tuesday, November 10th, 2020 are approved as submitted, 6-0. Next up is awards and presentations. First up, we've got Summit County Reworks, Marcy Kress.
I believe Mark is trying to get her on.
We had her. There she is.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Hi, Marcy.
Yeah.
How are you?
Hi. Very good. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I appreciate this opportunity. I'm Marcy Kress, the Executive Director for the Summit Akron Solid Waste Management Authority, doing business as Reworks. I will appreciate this ability to give you a very brief summary on where we are as far as our solid waste plan. As the Summit County Solid Waste Management Authority, we are required by our structure to do a solid waste plan update every 5 years. So the last time the city of Twinsburg approved this plan was around 2013, 2014, and we have since been given the opportunity to provide a solid waste plan update. It's a very large document, 150 pages, 6 chapters, 20 appendices. We have an executive summary, which has a little shorter version of what we have in the solid waste plan. But what I've been charged with is going out to the communities, letting them know the priorities of the solid waste plan, and explain the ratification process and the unique circumstances for our time frame this year. So with that, I will at least give you a really short update as far as the solid waste plan content. The priorities for our plan, I want to reassure the city that none of our programs will change for the duration of the plan. We will continue to offer our hazardous waste collection, scrap tire collection, electronics collection, document shredding and recycling events, as well as our business recycling program. So there'll be no major changes in the programs that we offer to not only Twinsburg residents, but also the businesses of Twinsburg and the municipality as well. With that same thing, the Community Recycling Assistance Grant, which has been in place since 2005, also drafted in the solid waste plan update to be maintained for the duration of our update time period. The plan is a 15-year plan, but like I said, it's updated every 5 years. I'm not sure who can predict out to 2036, but for some reason our data has to reflect that. So nevertheless, I do want to assure you that grant is still in place, and we want to continue to support communities in their curbside and compost efforts. So that is in place. We will maintain our education levels. So all throughout Summit County, we do share a common message for curbside recycling, how to minimize contamination, waste reduction efforts. Those type of communications have come from our office for years. Social media, billboards, ads, a number of different mediums. We will continue to offer that. And we will also be looking at possibly, the plan allows us to explore new options for food waste. Again, this is just the opportunity in our plan to make sure we try to find solutions for new waste streams. We want to increase our diversion from the landfill food waste is a frontier that we have to continue to be innovative, and our solid waste plan does speak to that as far as a new program, if you will, or expansion of services. Lastly, the priority that we have in our plan is we are looking to relocate our administrative offices. We would like to be more publicly accessible, to host training events. And with that idea, we'd also look at adding possibly a service center where we could take difficult to manage materials. All of that is subject to Board of Trustee approval and the process we would have to follow. But as far as the solid waste plan goes, it does allow us a chance to explore those opportunities. So those are the basic priorities of the plan. Again, it's difficult to summarize 150 pages in a few minutes, but I want to make sure Council knows that we're happy to provide any explanation on any of the tables or the chapters, any of that data. We're available to answer any questions on those. And that would allow me to transition to how we get this plan approved. For ratification, we are required to have at least 60% of Summit County's population through cities, townships, and villages, approval of the plan through resolutions, including the City of Akron, County Council, and our Board of Trustees. Typically, there is the process that requires us to have a public comment period, which has been in place since October 27th. It ends tomorrow. A public hearing, which we had already, which was November 17th. We had no members of the public join us for that conversation. And then we have 90 days to go out to meetings like this and explain our plan and either have approval or disapproval from council regarding our solid waste plan. For a number of reasons, which I'm sure you all can relate to, our process was delayed this year by several months. So we have been trying to get ratification of the plan during our public comment period, which, like I said, it ends tomorrow. Not necessarily ideal circumstances, but our solid waste plan final version must be submitted to the EPA by November 29th, which in reality is tomorrow. So we understand this timeframe won't fit all of council or trustee meetings, but it is still very important to our agency that we get out and let you all know what's in the plan update and what the priorities are, and that we will be able to maintain services for your residents and businesses. So that's the long and short of ratification and the summary of the plan. And at this time, I'd be happy to entertain any questions you might have by either one of those topics.
Any questions from council?
Not at this time, thank you.
No questions?
Nothing, thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
All right. Any other awards and presentations, Shannon?
There are none.
All right. Next up then is audience participation.
First, we have Bob Hughes.
Bob, are you there?
Hey, Bob, are you there?
He's still muted.
I think you're still muted if you're talking. Can you
Yep,
unmute? There you go.
Oh,
There you go.
There you go.
okay.
Welcome back, sir.
Bob Hughes, 2229 Demi Drive in the Meadowwood Plan in Twinsburg. This technology is very interesting. Now, I heard something very encouraging a moment ago in the discussion, and I'm in the Caucus. But I'm still going to say what I have to say here because I was a little frustrated with what happened at the last meeting. Words can't describe my frustration with the simple concepts that the council sometimes cannot understand. I suggested that you change the rules to allow the citizens to rebut comment made by council about them. This is the one thing that drives good citizens from speaking to you. And it was just 2 meetings ago that I brought this up, and lo and behold, last meeting, Mr. Scafidi spoke about and provided a partial truth. We were talking about the caucus meeting, me in opposition and he in support. I will not argue with him concerning the motive for the caucus meeting. Suffice it to say that I was speaking to members of council at that time, and they concurred that the previous mayor and Sam colluded to put together an idea of a caucus meeting in order to control what transpired at the regular meeting. So, Mr. Scafidi, my assumption is that you are calling your former council members, people, liars. Okay. What really frosts me is the fact that he was only responsible for the name of caucus. This meeting was conducted in the back of council chambers, not in the public. It was not a publicized meeting. You need to go back to the old council tapes when I brought up the fact that this meeting was violating the Sunshine Law. At meeting, Mr. Scafidi stated that it was publicized on the board out front. Almost immediately, several members of council told Mr. Scafidi that it is not on the board, not published. So he seemed to forget the very important details. So if we continue this way, where we communicate one week to the next week or one every other week to the other week, and please relate all the story about me, not just what makes you, in this case, Mr. Scafidi, you look like an innocent bystander, and me looking like a liar. Now, what I heard in the caucus sounds very promising. As you know, I'd like to see what that entails. If it does blow into something that is reasonable, then this thing disappears as far as I'm concerned. But at this point in time, it doesn't, because Mr. Scafidi never gave me the opportunity to rebut, even after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Sue Clark. After Sue submitted her request to speak this evening, she followed up with an email asking Mr. Bellin to please read her comments in. Mr. Bellin?
Yes. So again, as Mrs. Collins stated, I'm going to be reading Sue Clark's verbiage here. She has two questions. She said, I have received the certification from the Board of Elections on the passage of issue 24. I would like to know when this will be sent to American Legal Publishing to be changed in our charter for the city of Twinsburg. It's my understanding, in having conversations both with Mr. Maestros and with Ms. Collins, the answer to that question is the city coordinates the updates with the American Legal Publishing after the first quarter of each year, so which would be, in the first quarter timeframe of 2021. Is that fair, Mr. Maestros?
That's correct.
Okay. Her other question is also, I have had a complaint in regards to a council member since July 14th, 2020 that has yet to be resolved. You are only going to have one more meeting before winter break. I would like to know where council is in regards to this complaint. And I will address that. We had a discussion earlier tonight in Caucus. That discussion has started several weeks ago at this point with some modifications to the rules of council. I think it's very fair to say that those discussions were kicked off because of Ms. Clark's complaint. So if you weren't here during Caucus, we made some modifications to that draft, and I believe we're going to have a hopefully final draft in front of council for the next meeting for us to approve. Any other comments or questions from council about that particular issue? That concludes Ms. Clark's remarks.
And next, we have Michael Turrell.
There we go. Am I on?
Yes, you are, sir.
Oh, okay. Oh, can I put the video on too? There we go. Here I am. Yeah, before I get started, if I could just ask council members and everybody in there to speak directly in your microphones, because we can't hardly hear you at all out here. I mean, I got this big old speaker and I'm jamming this thing right up next to my ear, so I can hear you guys. I know it's tough and a little uncomfortable, but we can't hear anything if you're not speaking directly into the microphone. Mike Turrell, 9930 Forest Lake Drive. Oh, one more thing, Shannon, I'm not going to be able to hear you if you say time, so if you could just raise your hand or something, I can see that back there too. So I'll know my time is up, so I'm not being disrespectful here. I was contacted by Bruce Baldwin he likes to check in about council meetings, and nobody can attend. He doesn't have a computer, and he has no desire to get one. He doesn't need one, so he asked if I could read his thing for him tonight, if that is okay. I'm reading for Bruce Baldwin. I'm not speaking for him. Good evening, City of Twinsburg Council members. Bruce R. Baldwin, 3310 Cannon Road. I have asked the same question a couple of times before about the property on Route 82 between McDonald and Church Street. I believe you told me this CIC program was taking care of this property. I believe city workers tore down 2 houses. I can back up that claim. No tax money now to the city, and this summer I see city workers putting down straw. Why not let the weeds grow up and save the taxpayers money? Also, we have talked about this before. The city worked all last year, came out to my house about my signs. Remember, the same day. 33 other signs in the Post Road area were in the wrong spot, like mine were. But I moved mine to be legal, and that was last year. Also this year, when someone, don't know who, took mine down and took them, so I called the City of Twinsburg Police Department to report missing signs. City of Twinsburg Police Dispatcher told me, we have your signs. The city does not discriminate, but 6 signs down on Cannon Road were still up. Get off your couch, Twinsburg people. Get off your cell phone, computers, find out where your tax money is going. Besides the golf course, thank you, good evening, take care, be safe. Mr. Bruce R. Baldwin. And I think you can kind of pick up the tone of his voice on that. I got a few things I would like to contribute because he always speaks pretty quick, and I think there's a few minutes left if I'm close. I would like to echo Mr. Bob Thu's comments that he was speaking in the caucus meeting about the CIC. The CIC has done absolutely nothing but take money out of our general fund. It has taken all of, the bed tax since it's been incorporated. I don't know what the funds are in there, but I know it's in excess of, $500,000, $600,000. That's the fire truck that we couldn't afford since 2014. We need to be done with that CIC. Make that thing go away. We can do everything that we need to do with that within our Section 711 Department of Community Planning and Finance, except with one difference is that it provides complete transparency to the residents. Jettison Mr. Finch, yeah, absolutely, he's done nothing. And while you're at it, Mr. Thews also spoke on the fact of how many lawsuits that we have lost over ridiculous zoning things. Yeah, we could jettison Mr. Maestro's too. And how much money has Mr. Maestro? If I screwed up that many times at my job, I wouldn't have had a job after the second one. But this is just my personal opinion. As far as Mr. Bellin mentioned about filming the caucus meeting, I think that's absolutely brilliant. As far as I'm concerned, we should have every single public meeting that we have, Architectural Review Board, finance meetings, the garden club, whatever we have that is a public meeting, should be done in council chambers, should be filmed, should be put on the city's YouTube channel. It doesn't cost us anything but a little bit of time for Mr. Kotowski to come in and turn on the cameras. That would be transparency to the people that they could see these meetings if they can't attend it that night. And then I also put in a public records request. I would like to take this opportunity to reiterate that public records request. I would like a written transcript of, I don't need the whole meeting. I need something on official city letterhead documents with the written transcript of Mr. Fury's comments about issue 24 at, I believe it was the October 27th, 2020 council meeting. I need that for a hearing. I cannot submit a videotape through the mail, I need that written down. So if I could please get those, I believe I am entitled to that through, Freedom of Information Act and the Sunshine Law. All I need is that comment. It appears at 41 minutes and 15 seconds, somewhere around there, I believe. And if I could get that soon, please, I would appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That's all we have this evening.
All right. All right. Next up this evening is council communications and reports. We'll start with Ms. McFerrin this evening.
Good evening. The Architectural Review Board met on November 19th. There were 4 cases. Case 20-11-116, 1620 Bridget Lane, a new single-family dwelling was approved. Case 20-11-117 on Edison Boulevard, LJ Star Sign Review was accepted. Case 20-11-118, 8600 Hedden Road, the Sushi and Sign Review, that's at the old or former Bob Evans, was approved as noted. And then case 20-11-119 at 11660 Ravenna Road, Unit G, was a sign review, and that was approved. There was a work session to discuss the ARB application process, and that's all that I have.
Thank you. Mrs. Walker.
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barr.
Good evening, thank you. The Finance Committee meeting occurred this evening at 6 p.m. We did do a hybrid version of that meeting over Zoom. A few of the items discussed were the 2021 temporary budget, some of the proposed capital improvement and infrastructure items. A couple of takeaways from that. The 2021 temporary budget currently reflects about a 12% reduction in appropriations. That continues along with this year's 10% reduction in staffing, which represents roughly 18 full-time employees that we no longer have employed here at the city of Twinsburg. That represents about a 10% reduction in our workforce. I'd like to note that there were no cuts made to public safety. We issued the bond notes. We're going to pass the ordinance for that this evening. On the same note of staffing, we have reduced our golf course full-time staff from 9 to 4. So again, we're looking at every opportunity we can to lean up our operation and be as tight as possible. We did discuss some of the applications and the deadline for the November 30th deadline for the small business grants. There is approximately $40,000 available to small businesses in Twinsburg. The November 30th deadline is this coming Monday, so if you have not applied for that and you're a small business owner in Twinsburg, please do so. There's an opportunity, and those applications will be reviewed by council, so we can get monies out to those companies in need here in the city. Ms. Butchie-Gross gave her finance report at the Finance Committee meeting due to the 10-person limit here in the room this evening. A couple of takeaways from that. Year to date, our collections, income tax is down roughly $1.9 million or 8.75%. Since Twinsburg is approximately 86 to 87% dependent on income tax as its main source of revenue, a reduction in one's revenue of 8.75% hurts the city just like it would hurt anybody else that took nearly a 10% pay cut. So we are working through those things. Rest assured that the Finance Committee and members of council are all committed, as is our finance director, to squeezing every penny out of every taxpayer dollar. And we're going to continue that mission. The next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for January 26th. It will be at 6 p.m. here in council chambers, and we will have a better handle on what's going on and things with the temporary budget as we get a little further and we get to close out the year. That's all I have this evening. Thank you, Mr. Bellin.
Thank you. Mrs. Stoffer.
My committees have not met. I did attend the Finance Committee meeting tonight as well.
Thank you. Mr. Fury.
Thank you. The Board of Zoning Appeals doesn't have any meetings scheduled at this time because there are no applications. And I did attend the finance meeting earlier this evening. I've been on council for 18 years, and every council meeting I've ever gone to has had an open committee of the whole or caucus meeting. I attended council meetings for probably half a dozen years prior to that on occasion, as I was a member of the Park and Rec Commission. That board also had a committee of the whole, work session, caucus, whatever you want to call it. Maybe 10 years ago, when Mr. Scafidi was first elected president, he chose to change the name to Caucus. And we did hold open meetings in the back room so that we could sit close together. Maybe once, maybe twice, but they were public meetings and they were advertised. When there were enough people that did not fit, we moved them back out here and have kept them since then. I am unaware of any unscheduled, unadvertised, secret meetings. This is the standard work session, committee of the whole, caucus that's been going on here for almost 25 years or longer. I'd also like to address Mr. Thews's comments regarding our debt with water lines. He referred to them as road debt. There is transite pipe that was used to build the acres in Ward 1. And over 20 years ago, Mayor Prokop committed to remove the transite pipe in Twinsburg. And we've got about 85% of it out. But what that does, it adds $1 to $2 million of additional expense to the road reconstructions that have been done in the acres. We have another $1.8 million of zero interest loans pending with the Oak Ridge Storage Project. And, zero interest loans, if you look at them over the cost of 25 years and the cost of money formula, are a great benefit to us as they let us stretch our cash out. So, if we can get zero interest loans for everything, I think we should take them. But specifically, the only loans that we were taking for road construction at all in the city were all regarding 0% interest loans to replace the transite water lines in Ward 1. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I also attended this evening's Finance Committee meeting. Mr. Barr did an excellent job recapping that. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, good evening, everyone. A couple of things going on in the last couple of weeks. I was able to have a conversation, kind of catch up with Major General Guthrie of the 88th Readiness Division that operates out of our Armored Reserve here in town. It was a good discussion. Unfortunately, it was via Zoom. I always like visiting the reserve base there, but they're kind of a quiet partner of the city, and we talked about ways that we can hopefully in the future, as things resume to some type of normalcy, work together. They've always done great to provide us a presence at a lot of our city events, but we just talked about some of the things going on with the Armored Reserve and some of the changes they've made, but it was good to catch up with him on the 13th. Last Friday, I just want to say thanks to a newer company called Victory Innovations that is operating here in Twinsburg. They started and successfully completed a food drive for our community hunger center, and was able to drop off a whole truckload worth of food to the hunger center on Friday afternoon. And I just want to thank them for doing that. It shows they want to be involved in our community, and it's at a very needed time. I've visited the hunger center a couple times recently, and in a room where you could barely walk around because it was stacked with food, the shelves were pretty bare. They're servicing a lot of people right now, so I want to thank them for doing that. We are working on organizing on December 13th a drive-by Santa event. We've kind of, through COVID, trying to figure out some way to replace our Shop with a Cop and our Santa Run with the fire department. So more details will be coming out and published. When you do hear, please sign up, because it will be a very limited event because of COVID. But exciting. We're getting closer to Christmas time, and some of the events that we love unfortunately can't happen this year, but we're trying to get creative and figure out something for the kids. I want to talk a little bit about leaf pickup. We've been getting a lot of calls to our service department. I've been getting calls. Really, everyone that is involved with the city's been getting calls about leaves. I'm sure council has. All of our leaves came down at one time this year. We have 3 crews that we always run. We're on our second pass to the city right now, and I fielded a call yesterday with someone who says it's been several weeks, and I know we've had some windstorms, so it requires not only getting to your tree lawn, but then putting them back in your tree lawn when the leaves blow back in your yard or into the street. And I know it's been frustrating, but we got guys working really hard. I had a meeting regarding our leaf and our winter operations. We're down 3 people right now. We are interviewing and working to get those crews up to speed, but our guys are working hard, I promise you. They're out there doing the best they can. They do a great job for the city. We have taken on and had more volume this year than we've seen in this limited amount of time. So just be patient out there, because we're working through this the best we can. I'm glad they all came down early, because last year we were out in December trying to still pick up leaves in between snowstorms. But we'll get it done, I promise you. Let's see. I do want to mention and offer condolences to the family of Katherine Tyler. So Katherine just turned 90, but passed away this past week. And she was part of the Twinsburg Beautification Committee when it first started, our garden club. She helped get Earth Day here for the city, and part of the Tree City USA committee. And so I just wanted to mention her and offer condolences to her family. I've been meeting and talking with council as we kind of look forward toward next year, and Mr. Barr mentioned the revenue impact we're seeing from COVID and some of the options that we have. In 2021, the city will be addressing some very real and serious issues as it relates to our budget. And so some of our conversations, and to prepare for that, we are going to be conducting a community engagement initiative, basically to hear from the residents. The input we hope to get from the residents will be critical to the decisions that we need to make for 2021. We're looking to engage the community in a number of different ways, through surveys, through focus groups, through phone interviews with people. So we're hoping to pull as much data as we possibly can to help myself and council help direct us as we move forward in these kind of turbulent times. We will be announcing a lot of procedurally how all this is going to occur on November 30th. So I just wanted to get that word out, because I know our meetings are kind of stacked up here, and we'll need to make some decisions here as we gather this data over the next month or so. So I did want to mention that. And then lastly, I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. That's all I have. We have no department head reports tonight.
Okay. All right. That said, we will go right into legislation. We've got 3 pieces this evening. First up is Ordinance 95, 2020.
The temporary appropriation ordinance for 2021, approved by council from estimates submitted by the mayor, providing for the ordinary expenses and other necessary expenses of the city of Twinsburg, Ohio, during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021.
I'd like to make a motion to, that's the first reading, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Next up is Ordinance 96, 2020.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue account as established in Ordinance 16, 2020, the appropriation ordinance for the city of Twinsburg for the year 2020, and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to put Ordinance 96, 2020 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
A second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion?
The reason for the emergency is we have received money from selling the bonds to retire the clubhouse debt, and we need to get it applied immediately.
Anything else? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Emergency clause passes 6-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 96, 2020 as an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Stoffer seconds. Any further discussion?
The
Shannon, I'm sorry?
the amount of the bond revenue is $7.38 million.
7.38 million. Thank you, sir. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ordinance 96, 2020 passes 6-0 as an emergency. Finally, this evening is ordinance 97, 2020.
An ordinance amending section 1323.05 of the codified ordinances of the city of Twinsburg regarding permit fees in the building department.
And that is its first reading. All right, next up is unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. Mr. Fury.
Nothing this evening other than to wish everybody a very safe and happy Thanksgiving this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Stoffer.
Nothing this evening.
Mr. Barr.
Nothing additional. I would like to wish everybody a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. I know this is a different Thanksgiving for all of us, and just hope everybody stays healthy through the holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Walker.
Yes, I just have a couple things. When the mayor was talking about the leaf pickup, and on my street, well, you know, it snowed, and I don't know how the workers could see the leaves underneath all of the piles of snow, but they absolutely did a good job. They really did in my area, so thank you to those guys. And Katherine Tyler, when I was appointed on the Environmental Commission, she wanted me to be in the garden club. And I told her I'll come to the garden club because I absolutely loved her accent. So she was such a sweet person. And then the last thing that, well, it may be the last, that I want to say is the Twinsburg School Foundation is encouraging residents and Twinsburg school families to consider a gift to the Twinsburg City School Foundation by giving on Tuesday, December 1st, 2020. And the foundation will use the donations to respond to special needs of teachers and staff during the pandemic, supplement the district's technological needs for remote and in-person instruction, and provide unique educational experience for our students. And for more information, you can donate to www.twinsburgschoolfoundation.org. And just to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving too. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McFerrin.
I just wanted to ask that as we're all trying to navigate through the recent advisories on COVID-19, that we try to help each other and support one another and refrain from judging each other. I'd like to wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving. I'm very grateful to all our city employees. And I guess we'll see you the same time next week, same place. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Nothing further for me this evening.
Mr. Maestros.
Just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'd like to thank Larry Finch, who, without Larry Finch, we'd have a field sitting at the corner of 82 and Chamberlain Road, that without Larry Finch and Kathy Prokop, without a doubt, that property would not be redeveloped. And I understand we don't have 5,000 employees sitting up there like we did with Chrysler, but 1 out of every 3 stamping plants got repurposed. And we're lucky that it happened here and that it happened as quickly as it did. So I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Well
you.
said.
Yeah.
And for me, again, I want to wish everybody a happy, healthy, and safe Thanksgiving this week. This does actually mark the end, my last meeting as council president. I wasn't quite sure what to expect coming into this role. I don't think anybody was sure what to expect or ready to deal with what 2020 has thrown at us between COVID, Zoom meetings, a tumultuous election season, et cetera. You know, I could go on forever. It has been my absolute honor to sit here. I appreciate all the guidance, help, and support that I've gotten along the way, not only from Mr. Mayor, Mr. Maestros, Sarah, my fellow members of council. This has been great, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. Now I'd like to make a motion to excuse Mr. Scafidi this evening. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Everybody seconds.
Every second?
I guess for the record, we'll say Mrs. Walker. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McPherson?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Scafidi is excused 6-0. That being said, it is 8:17 PM. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We are adjourned.